Welcome back and thank you so much for tuning in. The inspiration for today's topic stems from this extremely polarized and divided world that we're currently living in. Of course, this is nothing at all new, although I would say current events are definitely exacerbating the issue. I certainly have to check myself and my patients on a day-to-day basis. There's so much force behind this idea that we have to pick a side, and whoever lands on the opposite side of us deserves no compassion, no patience, no understanding. It's completely perpetuating this paradigm that we live in, and I catch myself getting increasingly frustrated with my friends who I guess I deemed more intelligent or intuitive. I just, expected them to know better, and, that's where I catch myself, and I have to check myself, because maybe I should be approaching that with a little bit more understanding and have at least respect for where they're at on their journey either way. With that being said, it's come to my awareness that many of the issues we're facing collectively are centered within a lack of forgiveness and understanding for one another. Referencing back to my last video, we have a shortage of bridges and too many borders between us. We spend entirely too much time dissecting each other and not nearly enough time trying to really understand one another, which, by the way, we've been conditioned to do generation after generation by those in power who wish to keep us in a state of separation. Over the last couple years, the world has watched in horror as the depth of the darker deprived aspects of being human have come to light through the exposure of transgressions acted out by people held in high esteem. Everything from politicians, actors, musicians, beloved spiritual gurus, and influencers have been called out and exposed. My initial response to hearing some of these accounts naturally left me feeling disgusted and disappointed, but what bothered me more hearing of these accounts wasn't just the acts in and of themselves, rather the lack of personal accountability for said actions, especially in the case of people I perceived as being more spiritually intelligent and self-aware. One would naturally assume that by not acknowledging personal responsibility for these transgressions, that those in question must not feel remorse, which makes these accounts all the more disturbing and disappointing. But while reflecting on my own feelings, not only about the accusations made about people held in high esteem in the public eye, but people in accounts of similar nature in my own life, it was brought to my awareness that these accounts may keep coming to the surface in the way that they have, as an indicator that we need to take a closer look at not only the depth of human darkness, but what we can do to facilitate healing on a collective level. Now, while I understand the nature of some things humans are capable of seem monstrous and unforgivable, I implore you to reflect on your own choices through life. Everyone at some point in their lives has done something we knew was wrong, often at the expense of someone else. We have all been in need of forgiveness and understanding at one point in our lives. And while you could try to compare your transgressions to that of someone else, that's not the point. The point is that none of us are without sin, without shortcomings and failures. Perhaps if we were to reflect on that a bit more, we would take into consideration making the social environment more conducive to radical honesty and radical forgiveness. What I mean by that is not only being more honest with ourselves and others about areas and moments in our lives we fall short, but also make a point to hold space for other people to own their darkness. All of us are a reflection of the duality within the universe. We have both the capability to be forces of light and creation, as well as darkness and destruction. It's whether or not we reflect on those moments for the lesson and strive to be better versions of ourselves moving forward that inevitably will define us. It's my observation that this comes more naturally for some than others. But it's also my observation that today's social climate is not a welcoming environment to come clean with ourselves in. I acknowledge that there are definitely deeply disturbed people who navigate through life with no concern with their impact their actions have on others, but I'm also inclined to believe that most people given the room to self-reflect and grow from their mistakes have the potential to be a better version of themselves. The problem therein lies in the lack of compassion for one another's journey. not implying that we are victims because there are consequences to our actions, but by permanently defining people's value based on mistakes made along their journey, we have now put them in a fixed state of being, and at least in an objective sense, which sort of perpetuates the need to leave error unacknowledged and unaddressed. The fear of never going back in the eyes of our peers literally propels people away from honest reflection. Without that, we won't grow. Without that, we live in a limited existence based on partial realities. We accept the parts of ourselves that fit the socially acceptable narrative while leaving the undesirable parts of ourselves unacknowledged and therefore unable to heal. With those parts left unacknowledged and unattended to, we sort of doom ourselves to continue along our journey making the same mistakes and having pretty much the same experiences until we sort it out. With so many people using the current state of the world as their excuse for perpetuating selfishness and hate, I really thought it was time to unpack this subject. I am in no way suggesting anyone stay in an unhealthy relationship with a friend, a family member, coworker, what have you, because healthy boundaries are always of the utmost importance when maintaining one's own energy, but perhaps making a point to reflect on our own shortcomings and how we would want others to treat us in low moments of vulnerability before casting a stone is a step in the right direction. Just as you don't want to be limited to a person you may have been in the past, most people feel the same. A lot of us just need room to grow and a safe space to be completely honest with ourselves in. So I guess to sum this up, I just wanted to encourage everyone to go into the world today with a little more love, a little more patience and understanding for your fellow humans. Yes, even the more challenging ones, especially the more challenging ones as a matter of fact. Live by example, mend the divide, shake the system. It is my hope that in this time of uncertainty and uproar, we rise above the divide being imposed on us. I hope we can overcome the injustice and imbalance together, hand in hand with a united vision. Let the system be shaken by our ceaseless devotion to one another. We can absolutely co-create a beautiful new reality, a new earth, one act of kindness at a time. Until next time, guys, have a beautiful week.